Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Old School Wrestle Talk Part 2. I'm the host with the most, of course, Joe Lance. That's the co-host, JB. And as you can tell from the music, old school, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Legend.
The legend.
They're all legends to me, man. What can I say?
He's had some of the greatest feuds in WWE history. I mean,
the DDT, for God's sake.
The DDT, the short arm clothesline. You know, he come out with the snake, drop the snake all over you. He was great as a face, great as a heel. I mean, I don't think he ever went to WCW. I think that he stayed in the WWE, and of course, you know, he had his demons that he's trying to.
He might have went to WCW when his career was going downhill.
I don't remember him being in WCW.
I don't remember him in there either, but I kind of feel like he might have been, just because, you know, he needed that drug money at the time.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some demons, but you know, he's definitely trying to get rid of his demons, and he's in the best shape that he's been in a long time. And
they're trying to get him into the Royal Rumble.
That'd be awesome. I think that
he won't win, but it would still be cool to see him as a special
it'd be really good to see him as the special entrance in the Royal Rumble. He's been in so many matches.
Great feud with The Undertaker.
With The Undertaker, he's been
Savage,
Victor Martel. He even fought, I remember he fought the Undertaker at the WrestleMania. Undertaker fought so many different men, from Jimmy Snuka to Tito Santana.
Undertaker's fought them all just about, man.
And El Gigante, I remember him.
Oh, Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that naked suit and then just had fur down here.
It was interesting. He didn't last very long, but you know, he still had a memorable match at WrestleMania. That was the only one that Undertaker didn't actually pin somebody. He holds the record for being the first person that the Undertaker did not pin.
What about Undertaker versus Undertaker?
That was interesting.
Gray Undertaker versus Purple Undertaker.
I remember that.
Had the mask on, looked tough.
Exactly.
Tough.
I remember that. That was classic stuff too. You know, we're not just talking about singles wrestlers. We're talking about tag team wrestlers too. Like, if somebody would ask me what my favorite tag team was, without even thinking, I'd have to say Demolition. I love Demolition. The way they'd come out there, you know, how they had. You know, how they were good as faces, as heels. They come out there with Mr. Fuji and Crush, and just, they had feuds with the Hart Foundation. They had feuds with the Colossus Connection, Andre the Giant, and Haku, and just the Powers of Pain. I mean, so many different. That was my favorite tag team.
I remember one of my favorites when I was a kid was Coco Beware and Owen Hart. And then I got older and I'm like, man, these guys suck. You know, I wasn't a big fan of either of them when I got older. I mean, the Birds were cool. Coco never really did too much for me.
Birdman.
Owen Hart, I mean, I liked him as the Black Heart. And, you know, when he was with the Nation of Domination.
Oh, man, he was an awesome heel. Like, that was just, his feud with Bret Hart was just legendary.
I've watched that match so many times.
It was just legendary.
And British Bulldog, we can't forget him.
No?
Jim Neidhart, all those guys.
Yeah, the British Bulldogs. Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid.
And the Hart Foundation were real big in the late 80s, early 90s, man.
Oh, but you can't forget the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
Oh, man. Iron Sheik, Sergeant Slaughter. What was that guy that they used to... What was their manager's name? I can't remember. Iron Sheik used to come out with that guy, man. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember either, but yeah, I know you're talking about, but yeah, freaking the Legion of Doom, the Powers of Pain. Harlem Heat.
They're not too old, but they've been around a while.
Yeah, the Can-Am Connection. I mean, there's even been some music stars and movie stars that have been involved in wrestling. The Insane Clown Posse, one of the hatest bands ever, has been in WCW and WWE, and they own their own wrestling company.
JCW.
Yeah.
They changed that. I don't know. I know they have some former legends appear at their gathering or whatever.
Yeah. I'll never forget watching WCW and seeing Mike Awesome give the Awesome Bomb to Shaggy, and Shaggy just slid off the top of that. I mean, literally knocked him out. Like, I mean,
he had the shoulder up. For
yeah,
real,
like literally knocked him out. Like he didn't just get power bombed onto the top of the thing. No, he got power bombed and then he just slid off of it, and you knew that it was wow.
WCW, man.
WCW.
They gave WWE a run for their money back.
Yes,
they
did.
In the 90s.
Yes, they did.
At one point in time, they were above in the ratings.
I think that at one point, I'm pretty sure that that Vince McMahon was probably scared half to death because of they were just getting killed, and then WCW just dropped the ball. They started doing stupid stuff. They started, they brought in Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
I'll never forget that.
And gave them these contracts that were just ridiculous.
I don't really think they were honestly worth that much.
I mean,
they're good wrestlers, but Kevin Nash,
give any wrestler a contract that stated that they were the top paid wrestlers of the company is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because that meant that any wrestler that they brought in, they had to pay them, if they paid them a certain amount of money, more than Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and they had to bump Scott Hall and Kevin Nash up to that pay grade. And it's it was just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
What about the feuds between Macho and Flair?
Macho and
so
Flair.
So many of those over the years, especially for possession of Miss Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember the WWF magazine that had it was like a photo spread. It had like Macho and Miss Elizabeth and stuff.
I remember that, yeah.
And then the next one, it had like Flair and Elizabeth, and I guess it just.
I remember.
Magazines were. I still like WWE magazine, man. It's.
I still read it, yeah.
It's got interesting facts,
Mm-hmm.
and.
Oh yeah.
Little tidbits here and there, but it's worth a read, man. It's worth picking up if you ain't got nothing better to do with your time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's just. I mean, if you ever want to go and just look at some of the classic wrestlers, go to WWE.com. You can find classic stuff there. They have their own classic channel where they have all these different pay-per-views. I was watching Battle Bowl, WCW Battle Bowl, where they would it was like a tag team tournament, and it was kind of, it was weird because they would pick one person and then they'd pick somebody completely different as their tag team partner. So you could have like enemies like Vader and Cactus Jack completely hated each other. That was their feud.
That was a great feud.
And they had to be tag team partners. And
Vader was pretty brutal back in his WCW days, man.
Oh man, he was real brutal. Like I was watching a Mick Foley documentary, and he was talking about how he told Vader, to make it look good, and he was actually like hitting Mick, hitting him hard. Like his eye was all swelled shut, and
there was this. I was reading. I can't remember who it was against. I think it was Stan Henson, and Vader.
His eye came out,
came out.
But he still wrestled.
He did.
He still wrestled. I mean,
that's respectable though, man.
Mm-hmm.
Finish the job. Don't break character. Mick Foley was good for that too. I mean,
oh yeah,
he's him, Terry Funk, all those kind of guys, man. They're just
Terry Funk. Terry Funk's one of those guys that'd never give up wrestling.
Yeah, he's probably due for a comeback any day.
To
be honest with
he's one of
ourselves.
those type of wrestlers that will probably end up dying in the wrestling ring because he won't give it up. Like, he doesn't care if he can't hardly move anymore. As long as he can get to the ring, then he's happy.
He had a couple matches in like horse stables.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one I remember the most is the one with Chris Candido,
Mm-hmm.
and the horse kicked him.
Yeah.
They like did an Irish whip into this horse, and then the horse kicked him. I don't know. It's
That's-
on YouTube if you want to look at it.
They have some crazy wrestling matches. Like, you wouldn't. I mean, some of the craziest matches you're ever gonna see is in Japan. Like, they are nuts. Like, they have hardcore wrestling like you wouldn't believe. I mean, like I said, wrestling has just changed a lot from the old school to now, and it's still changing. I mean,
and then they went up into the Attitude Era, and that changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had the blood. Well, there was always been blood, but
Yeah.
not as much. You know.
I definitely think that I wish that the WWE once a year would come out with old school Raw, where they had all the old school wrestlers. I mean, I think that would be really, really awesome.
Well, they do the old school Raw, but sometimes they're hit or miss. To be honest. They could be so much better than they are.
Exactly. Like, could you imagine Demolition against the primetime players?
Oh man, I'd have to go for PTP on that, man, because I love Darren Young and Titus O'Neil.
I mean, some of the old school wrestlers, I understand, they can't really wrestle anymore, but they still have the flair. Like, Ric Flair, he still goes to these wrestling events, and he still draws a lot of people. I mean, people pay a lot of money just to get his autograph. And
I mean, I guess if you got that notability, then and people want to see you and meet you, then I guess you can afford to pay, put a price tag on a picture or an autograph.
Exactly.
As lame as that is to me, but I mean, I guess you gotta pay the bills at the end of the day.
you do what you gotta do. You know, Shane Douglas, he's still wrestling. You know, he's gained a considerable amount of weight, but he still gets out there and does his thing. He's wrestled a couple times for Kobe Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I seen a picture of him from last week. He was looking pretty rough, dude.
Man, I would love to have an old school wrestler just on the show, just for one time. Any old school wrestler. I wouldn't care if they were big or what.
Hey,
Just
the future's not here yet, man.
any type of wrestler, I think, would just be awesome to have.
We might be able to make it happen. Hey, we'll give you $100 to be on our show. Come talk. It might work.
Get Stone Cold on the show.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need more than that. Then. Speaking of Stone Cold, man, his feud with the Undertaker was absolutely amazing. When they put him up on that cross, similar to how they did Stephanie McMahon.
Yes, and that was the funniest thing ever. Was in ECW. Raven did almost the same thing. They put the Sandman on the same thing, and Kurt Angle was at that show. He was going to sign with ECW, and when he saw that, he refused to sign with them because of what they did, and then he signs with the company that did the exact same thing.
Yeah, well, they pay him more probably, but so
Yeah.
ECW. Sometimes the wrestlers weren't even getting paid.
That's true.
And, Vince, he always had your money.
Yeah, but Stone Cold, he's had so many feuds with the most famous one, Vince McMahon. Like, he started that whole boss against co-worker feud. Like, I mean,
he definitely, Vince McMahon was a good wrestler, though. Like,
oh yeah.
he performed better than some of the athletes that we have today. You know, that Buried Alive match he had with The Undertaker, he was busted open within like 2 minutes, just blood everywhere.
He still wrestled it. I gotta give him props.
I remember the